Mountains and monuments. It could only be Malaysia, the traditional curtain raiser for the new season, and we start as ever with a bang. Welcome to the capital, Kuala Lumpur, for our first day's coverage of the Malaysia Open. Anyone who's anyone is here, and we can't wait to get going. Welcome inside the Axiata Arena that can seat 16,000 for sports events and was renovated just 9 years ago. Thanks to Lim Boon Lay, singles player, for bringing on the HSBC World Tour Finals trophy. That will be played for in Hangzhou, China in December. Seems a long way off, doesn't it? It'll be here before you know it. Here's our lineup then, starting with women's doubles. Japanese Igarashi and Shida, in their first full year as a pair, they start favourites against the Koreans Jeong and Lee. You can count the matches Ansei Jeong has lost in 2025 on the fingers of one hand. Michelle Lee has drawn the short straw first up against the defending champion. Then we switch to men's doubles. Liang and Wong, seeded 4, but with only one title in the last 15 months. Hoki and Kobayashi won the last meeting too, in under half an hour. Ratchanok Intanon had something of a resurgence last year, back inside the world's top 10, and with a 3-love head-to-head record against India's Malvika Bansod. That's followed by our first mixed doubles action. Christensen and Boy hoping to kick off the new year in style after taking down 3 titles in 2025. 5 more matches after that in the company of Jill Clark and Steen Pedersen. The highlights: Christo Popov, fresh from his triumph at the World Tour Finals. Ayush Shetty on the bid as well, and so too the world number 3, Anders Antonsen, with Jill and Steen a bit later on. Let's have a check then on the women's doubles draw. This is the second quarter, and we are concentrating on that bottom match, a Japanese-Korean encounter. My name's Trevor Harris, delighted to say Bobby Griffin alongside me. Happy New Year. Now, these players won't have had much time to enjoy the festivities, Bobby, because it's barely 2 weeks since the World Tour Finals finished. They don't get much rest, do they?
No, they really don't. And, you know, starting the year with the Super 1000, huge ranking points at stake. And we noticed last year how much of a springboard those top players took from the start of the year. So coming through with the Super 1000 result, whether it's a win or even just good ranking points, really sets you up for the rest of the year. So important for these players to come out fully focused, and as you say, without a lot of rest from the Tour Finals for the top players, it's a tough start.
Players on their way out, as you can see, for this opening women's doubles match. This is the first of 6 days of coverage, and we will have from tomorrow Court 2 coverage as well. It is actually the first meeting between these two pairs, not overly surprising because they're both relatively new partnerships. This is the 69th edition of the Malaysia Open, first held way back in 1937. Massive prize money on offer here this week as well. Just shy of $1.5 million US in total. And for the doubles winners, it's a 6-figure prize purse. But to be honest, more about the honour and the glory. The first tournament of the season, as we look at Arita Igarashi, who of course was formerly ranked 1 in mixed doubles, with Yuta Watanabe, twice an Olympic mixed doubles bronze medalist. 4 World Championship medals as well, and 11 World Tour titles with Watanabe. But as a women's doubles pair, only playing with Chiharu Shida since July. And there is Shida, who of course is previously associated with Nami Matsuyama for a very long time. They were together for a decade. Olympic bronze medal, World Championship silver, both in Paris actually, for Shida alongside Matsuyama. And even though they're a relatively new pair, their past records with other partners make them favourites today against the Koreans. Jeong 25 years of age. They're just inside the world's top 20. She was up at number 3 alongside Kim Hae-jong. That was 4 years ago now. And also got an Olympic mixed double silver with Kim Won-ho in Paris in 2024. Along with 4 women's doubles World Tour titles. Lee Young-woo is a year younger. It's actually their first match together as a pair since they lost in the round of 16 at the Kumamoto Masters in mid-November. Weren't involved, obviously, in the World Tour final, which is just the top 8 pairs in the world. Wu Yuswan from Chinese Taipei is in the umpire's chair for this one, aided and abetted by New Zealand's Sydney Gallos. There he is, who is our service judge. Very much a multi-purpose arena, the Axiata Arena here. Stages a whole variety of sports: boxing, basketball, gymnastics. And it's part of a huge complex, actually. Includes the main stadium, the National Hockey Stadium, squash centre, the aquatic centre. But badminton very much the focus this week. And we can hand it over to the chair umpire for the player introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Hong and Lee Young-woo, Korea. And on my left, Igarashi and Shida, Japan. Igarashi to serve to Lee Young-woo.
Stand by then. First shuttle about to be hit in anger in 2026.
I've been interested to see what happens, particularly in the women's doubles event here inside the Axiata this year. As typically over the years, this is one of the arenas where the longer rallies tend to come out. We've seen some classics going back 2 years, 3 years ago. I remember Tan and Tina from Malaysia having 200, 250 shot rallies, and many of them in the same match here inside the Axiata. So to have a women's doubles first is really going to give us a good idea of the conditions this year and how that might pan out for some players.
Well, a near 50-shot rally for starters, and a couple of somewhat surprising errors from the Japanese pair, just to give the Koreans a bit of an early confidence boost. I actually think that Igarashi and Shida might be in for a very, very promising season, Bob, because I mentioned they only got together in July, so they've had kind of 6 months kind of get to know each other a little bit, because however good a player you are, we know they've both been brilliant with other partners, obviously Igarashi in the mix, but however good you are, it takes a while, doesn't it, for the chemistry to build as a pair.
Yeah, it does. Tons of quality. You mentioned all the medals, Olympic and world medals for both of the Japanese players, and yes, Igarashi's success has wildly been in mixed doubles, but actually she's a very strong, very powerful, very fast player and she handles she's handled the transition into women's doubles really, really well. I remember as a junior player, she was one of the first really to take that athletic jump smash to a new level in women's doubles and in mixed doubles as well. And they've gelled so well. I mean, that was a fantastic setup and a good finish. 8 tournaments together so far, 2 semi-finals, 2 quarter-finals, and actually some of those results could have been better. We were in the European leg of... I thought the umpire was getting involved then. We were doing the European tournament in October, and they almost made the final at the Arctic Open, losing out to teammates 26-24 in the 3rd game. They lost to Chen Chen and Jia Fan in the Denmark Open quarter-final, 21-19 in the 3rd game. That's the level they're at. That's how close they are to actually becoming one of the top players. So I think you're absolutely right, Trevor. I think they could be one of the big threats this year for a world medal.
It is so competitive now, though, isn't it, on the women's double side? The likes of Lin Tan, obviously, and plenty of others, other Japanese pairs. But the Koreans, Jeong and Yi, more than holding their own so far.
The court from right to left, been able to stay on balance and hit with such power. But there, talking about power, Igarashi, she's got such a terrific smash, that overhead. And the angle she creates for quite a short player is really impressive.
Yeah, just 5'3", Igarashi, that's gone long.
Service over, 7-5.
Came at an awkward height, didn't it? And Igarashi unable to deal with it.
Perhaps could have done a little better there. She was in good position. Lovely cross block. It really is one of the arenas. I can't work out the physics, if you like, behind why we see so many of these types of rallies inside this arena, and more often than other places around the world. It showcases the defense so well. They make it look easy. It isn't easy. But for some reason, the Axiata, you get tons of these incredible rallies, and women's doubles looks fantastic here. Again, that cross block finding space. Superb. 5 minutes into the tournament, and just to see the length of those rallies and the momentum shifting 3 or 4 times in the same rally, players were just resetting, going for the big clear because they just can't find a way through.
Almost get the feeling as well that Jeong and Yi are testing Igarashi and Shida's patience at times. and forcing a few uncharacteristic errors from the Japanese pair. Healthy lead now for the world number 19 partnership.
Good variation from Igarashi.
And what you were saying, as we see another error from the Japanese, what you were saying about the length of rallies, I'm not sure that the conditions here particularly play into Igarashi and Shida's strengths. You know, both naturally attacking players, and because, for whatever reason, you know, slow shuttle, whatever, it's making the Koreans, I think, a lot more competitive than they might be if we were playing, for example, in Jakarta or even in Birmingham, actually.
Yeah, counter-attack so far from the Korean pair has been really on point. You're right about the aggressive nature of the Japanese pair, and if they go too hard too early and leave those spaces, they can get punished with that counter-attack.
So mid-game break and a 5-point lead for Jeong and Lee.
Hot 1, 20 seconds. Hot 1, 20 seconds. Coach, return to your chairs. Coach, thank you.
Couldn't have a better man in their corner, could they, than Park Ju-bong, Jeong and Lee. Back to his homeland as head coach last year.
11-6, play.
Again, defense from the Koreans turning that rally around. You used the word patience earlier, and that's really key, particularly in this discipline here this week. Staying focused for a long, long time. Gets to a point where physically there's not much more to give. It's who can hold it together mentally. Keep going when it's when your body's tired, when you can't find a way through.
Service over. 7-11.
Good leave. That from Shida.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate miss. The Koreans again did everything right. Just that one final moment, missing the court, and we saw it 3 or 4 times in the first half of the game from the Japanese pair. I'm not sure what happened there.
Service over. 12-7.
I'll mention Park Ju-bong. Not only obviously is he one of the great coaches in the game, but he will know Igarashi and Shida's game inside out, having of course been in charge of the Japanese, or head coach of Japanese badminton for so long.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, a legend of the sport, to have him in the corner with so much experience. He's been there and done it at every level. Gives you great confidence as a player to have somebody like that sat behind you.
Service over. 8-13.
shot from Shida to cause problems. Shot quality, again, it's another thing where to keep that shot quality high under pressure after a long rally can make a huge difference. They're failing a few times here, the Japanese.
49.
Yeah, and it's not that Jeong and Yi aren't playing well, but they're certainly being given a helping hand here. Huge number of errors early on from Igarashi and Shida. There's another one.
59.
It's always good on day one to try and get a grip of what the drift looks like inside these arenas, and I haven't seen many shuttles so far go out the back behind the Japanese pair, whereas Shida and Igarashi have made a few errors at the end of the court behind the Koreans. Bit lucky there, Igarashi. Good use of that reverse slice.
Well, she's smiling, but there's clearly a sense of frustration for those two.
Yeah, that reaction, the body language says it all there from Shida. We've seen that, what, 4 or 5 times now in this opening game. What I've liked from the Koreans is they're trying to take the initiative here with their movement. The player off the shuttle is making a sort of strong move into a space.
That was a perfect example.
Yeah, as a almost a slight gamble. Not so much that you're overcommitted, but in badminton you can often put a few more eggs in one basket, if that makes sense. So there's a likelihood of a reply from your opponents if you perhaps just inch into that space or get ready to move forwards and give that particular shot a 60-40 advantage, for example. You've got a massive advantage if it does come off. And that's what the Koreans have been doing more than the Japanese so far. And I think they're getting the benefit from that.
I think this was a little unlucky. As the right shot just dragged it fractionally wide of that sideline. But they're getting plenty of gifts from their opponents here. Just 3 more points required to take the opening game. And they would have started as not massive underdogs, but certainly the Japanese would have been favourites.
Yeah, haven't seen too many of those mistakes from the Koreans so far, but it's going to need to be a real refocus from the Japanese pair going into game 2, and perhaps the difference in ends is significant. It's difficult for us to know yet. Day 1, match 1, we don't really know the impact.
Well, here's the first Hawkeye of the year. Japanese pair asking the technology just to check this call. these live judges, aren't they?
Challenge
They
unsuccessful.
definitely have a minute the brandy over Christmas.
Remaining.
That was a tough call.
It's over. 19-11. Play. Arisa.
Good play, good defence again from the Koreans.
So, after 17 minutes on court, 9 game points for Jeong.
Looks to me so far like the Japanese might be playing on the faster end. What a shot!
A highly appropriate way to end proceedings in the opening game, which, on the scoreboard at least, was pretty one-sided, 21-11. And Igarashi and Shida playing catch-up here.
This really was a beautiful turn. Exhibition stuff. Yeah, the faster, flatter counter-attacking defence from Jeong worked really well, and I don't think the Japanese had the ability to use as many of those fast, flat shots, and I suspect that's because they're playing with the drift. Those shuttles might go out the back. This second game might completely turn around.
너무 신경 쓸 정도는 아니야. 나 바로 컨트롤하고.
이게 진격해갖고 랠리가 계속 가면은 일단은
最後1分間ほとんどノーミスだ。ここもうちょっと近く持って決定的なチャンス思い切っていい、ね、全部させたこれを相手を倒すまでここまでしないといけないね、思ってた確率全部自分ボンミスの確率が多いね、ここはもうちょっと一回チェンジしますし、こっちコートちょっとやりやすいかもしれないけどもうちょっと近く持ってやれるようにね、OK、上だったら OK、下だったら来なかったら止めてキープ、もう一回後ろ、そういう繰り返しするようにもう一回立て直す。後ろが
Court 1, 22nd. Court 1, 27. Second game. Level. Play.
Very delicate net there, just flicked off the tape.
It's over.
Yeah, she's had some good touches around the forecourt so far in the match, actually, Shida. And that is never coming back.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent placement.
Yeah, check out the penultimate shot here from the Japanese, the one that sets it up. They're able to hit flat in defence, this one. And then it takes the time away from the Koreans, and they find the space. In the opening game, they couldn't really do that. They couldn't play that aggressive counter-attack to start with. And I think that's a condition of the two ends of the court.
Well, both down on their haunches there, both Igarashi and Shida at the end of that rally.
Yeah, Shida perhaps. the general rule there is you play a driving shot, you've got to sort of stand your ground in the mid-court, pick a side, so to speak. Shida pushed forward after that drive, left her teammate exposed.
Well, fantastic reactions. Pure instinct there.
3-2.
Yeah, that's an example of showing us what Shida should have done in the previous rally. Driving shot, get low, cover half the court, and if it comes straight to your racket, you've got everything to aim at. She played that really well.
Dropped in as well.
4-2.
Yeah, Shida looks quite confident this was going to go long.
Inside the line, wasn't it? She knew.
I do like players that sort of wear their emotions on their armour. Shida's one of them.
That's a chance, actually.
Service over. 3-4.
That shuttle just kept going, and again, I don't want to keep harping on about the difference in ends, but it seems like it might be a big factor here. Anything flat with pace from the Korean side, they've got to do well to control it. And I think that should give the advantage to the Japanese on this end. But so far, they're not taking advantage of that ability.
Oh, brilliant from Jeong, but both Jeong and Yi are kind of above themselves here, I think you'd have to say. Great disguise there.
Terrific shot.
She'll be very disappointed with that because they bossed the rally again. And in fact, the easiest shot was the one that she missed.
Yeah, footwork didn't quite get underneath the shuttle, was leaning forwards.
Yeah.
A bit like a footballer leaning backwards. The ball's only going to go up. In this case, in badminton, if it's in front of you, it's only going to keep going down.
He hasn't missed many either.
They have generally looked a little bit more focused, haven't they, the Koreans? Certainly fewer mistakes.
See, I think it's not just fewer mistakes, obviously, the Koreans have made, but I think they've had greater variety of shot, more disguise, some clever angles, and to me at the moment, it's a little bit one-dimensional from Igarashi and Shida.
I'd agree with you. I think the Korean pair have come out with a strategy and also a variation. They're mixing things up a little bit more than the Japanese pair, who are playing in a sort of textbook kind of way. The Koreans are taking the chance here, and so far it's paying off.
That was in as well. Another error.
8-4.
Using that back line superbly so far in this game.
Again, that was inside the line. Igarashi got that totally wrong.
Yeah, she took a couple of looks at that as well, didn't she?
I think sometimes with those, you can almost have too much time. Yeah, pretty easy at the net for Lee Yun-woo, and all of a sudden, this is a worrying scoreline for Igarashi and Shida.
Yeah, and again, that focus, that commitment to attack. They get a half chance. They're trying to make something happen. A little bit passive from Shida in that rally. There was a backhand where I think she could have done a little bit more.
Better.
That's what we need to try and get into a position of being able to execute more often. That's the game plan on this side of the court. Counter-attacking, 2 shots there from Igarashi, both flat, both fast. She's got more of a comfort zone to aim into those rear corners, and they're not getting themselves in that position often enough for me.
Well, if there's going to be a fight back from the Japanese, it needs to start right now, because they're 6 points back at the mid-game break and down by a game.
그냥 우리 템포에 맞춰서 두두두 가면 안 되고.
슛들이 점점 퍼지잖아. 그때 우리가 확 공격하면 안 돼. 가다가 다시 클리어 쳐줘야지. 어?
Hold 1, 20 seconds. Hold 1, 20 seconds.
라켓 들어, 앞에서 라켓 들고, 앞에서 라켓 들고.
Coach, return to racket. Player back on court.
So the point of no return effectively here for the Japanese.
Good communication. It really has been excellent from this Korean pair so far in the match, handling the two ends differently and handling both sides of the court so well. We had a Hawkeye call, Trevor, at the earlier on in the game on the far line behind the Koreans. Can you remember one shuttle going out the back at that end in this entire match?
No. Great recovery from Shida.
That's a nice block from Igarashi into space. There we go. Taking a little chance there.
Wide. I tell you the other really impressive thing, Bobby, about Jeong, virtually every lift has been right on the back line. They haven't given the Japanese anything short to work with, have they?
No, and that's actually very difficult if there is a drift with them. To try and keep that shuttle in those tram lines at the back in defence is difficult. And they've not sort of over-committed, which is what I've liked from them as well. They've got to lift a little bit higher by nature on this far side. They can't be as aggressive with the flat lifts. And to keep control of the shuttle is one thing, but something I've really liked is that you can overcompensate with the style of play. These two managed to turn things around in the same rally and just say, okay, that's not working, we'll go back to basics, we'll reset, we'll start again. And they've managed that brilliantly.
They've won 14 of the last 17 points now, because Shida and Igarashi led 2-0 in this second game. And now they face the prospect of being out of the tournament before the local restaurants will finish serving breakfast.
Service over 6-14.
A little bit too much. And again, that much more flat defensive shot, danger. That's a lovely reverse. A couple of times we've seen that now. Completely outfoxing the Japanese. Take a look at this.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying about clever angles and just mixing up the game. And the Japanese, so far, have not been able to cope with it.
Credit to the team for this performance as well. There's been a couple of mistakes here in the last few points from the Koreans, but by and large, we haven't seen much of that from them so far. They've come out with a game plan and a variation, a focus and intensity. If they get through this second game, it will really be a terrific performance against what we thought were going to be a very top pair.
That was a brilliant piece of retrieving from Shida. Off the net, she was pretty much on her knees, but somehow found a way to keep the point alive. I think her partner slightly confused her. She was right in her eye line. It just maybe affected her concentration a little bit. Let's watch this here. Yeah, he just kind of or rather Jeong's like moved towards E initially while that shuttle was in the air.
Yeah, good placement, good use of the middle. I think it was Shida. Using the middle, not necessarily off the court, but the middle, the space between the two opponents. Never a bad tactic in doubles. Just caused that moment of hesitation.
That's a really soft point though. Just to stop the Japanese momentum. They won 3 of the last 4, but the lead is still a very healthy one.
Yeah, for a moment I thought we might have seen the start of a terrific and grueling comeback from the Japanese. And I use that word grueling because to come back in this match is going to take something very resilient and focused. The Koreans simply need to be quite controlled and focusing on their shot quality and perhaps not taking as many risks. It ought to be enough to see this match through. But they've actually made 3 or 4 mistakes in the last 5 or 6 rallies.
Oh, that was a little snatchy.
11-16.
Almost trying to hit it too hard.
Again, faster end, going flat into the corners or deep in the court, dangerous. Need to remember how they started this second game. I get the feeling the Koreans can see the finish line and they've changed their mentality slightly.
Another mistake, and now might be getting just a little nervy. Jeong. And from the Japanese pair's point of view, they just can't afford to make any mistakes in their running. That was a bit of a freebie.
Yeah, like the point we saw moments ago, just a little move from Igarashi, perhaps putting Shida off. Well, we've seen, I think, more mistakes from the Koreans in the last 5 or 6 rallies than perhaps the entire game and a half to that point.
I was just about to say that.
I think they...
Pressure. Nerves.
It's definitely nerves, because they think they've got the job done.
Oh, that was a big bonus. They're asking Hawkeye. I don't think they're going to get any joy with this. They should have made that comfortably. Didn't need to even hit the sideline there. But I'm pretty sure this has gone wide.
Yeah, you can understand the call for Hawkeye. Nothing left to lose.
Should have made it. Didn't make it. Always say, don't we, that sometimes the last hurdle is the hardest one to clear. Just got to keep their focus here. Three points required.
18-30.
And on the brink of something quite special, yes. Igarashi and Shida are not yet highly ranked. They are a quality pair. I have them as clear favourites, but the way they perform today asks a lot of questions.
19-13.
That actually looked closer than the one they challenged.
The second viewing of that, the replay, looked a lot closer than the first time. I'm surprised they didn't challenge that. They've got to be careful here, the Koreans. This Japanese pair, like many, can sort of set up a brick wall in defence and make you have to win it Koreans have tried to win this match in the last 5 minutes and have failed, in my opinion. Need to settle down. Nice shot. Shida did well under real pressure there. Good initiative from Igarashi. Oh dear.
I just think that was a massive, massive point. If that goes 19-16, Japanese pair think, right in this. Now, can't exactly fall over the line, but it just gives them more margin for error. Match points, 5 of them.
Over 16-20.
That is a big, big win for Jeong and Lee Eun-woo. They were 15-6 up in that second game. There was a semi-fight back from the Japanese, but not enough. 21-16 in the second game, and they take down a pair that are forecast by many experts to have a potentially very good season. But it's not going to start here in Kuala Lumpur.
It's a big upset, and credit to the Koreans. I actually think the comeback later on in the second for the Japanese was largely due to the Koreans actually getting a bit too excited, seeing the finish line and trying to jump over it, and perhaps threw away a few points. It could have been an even more one-sided scoreline. Brilliant for these two, tons of potential.
(21-11), 21-16. It lasted 3/4 of an hour. Jeong and Lee through to the round of 16. Coming up, the chance to see the world #1 in the women's game, An Se-young, up against the veteran Canadian Michelle Lee. In a moment. Well, a warm welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Malaysia Open 2026. And we have reached the second match on our schedule, which features An Se-young up against Canada's Michelle Lee. Always a treat to watch the Olympic champion, former world champion. This is the women's singles draw, and obviously we're looking at the top quarter.